Well, hello. I am going to tell you some backstory for Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian, The Marshal. So, three books came out after Disney purchased Star Wars, the Aftermath books, and they had interludes between some of the chapters to tell you other things going on in the galaxy. So, I'll tell you all the pre information leading into this episode of The Mandalorian and then give you some conjectures. So, the first book, The Aftermath, it's called Aftermath, between chapters 31 and 32, a worker of the Red Key Company named Adwin Charu is in a sandcrawler on Tatooine, somewhere near Mos Pelgo. And Cobb Vanth comes in and is talking with him. He says, I have the rapport needed to work with Jawas. He says he's the newly appointed lawman in the area. As Adwin Charu finds the Beskar armor in the sandcrawler, kind of in a box tucked away in a back room, Cobb Vanth says, that armor is mine. And at the time, I took that to believe he's going to take it. You want it, but too bad. Cobb Vanth, he's about to take it right now. But maybe he meant it literally. Maybe it was his armor to begin with, put there to catch this guy, to frame this guy, to give him a message. So that's my theory. I'll come back to that in a little bit. But in the meantime, they're talking. It's revealed that Lorgan is the leader of the Red Key Company, which is trying to take over in this area. And Cobb Vanth says, nope, I am the law around here, shoots this guy, trying to send a message to Lorgan. And that's the end of that interlude. It seems like this guy is going to take that armor. It's going to be his now, was the impression I got when I read it. In the next book, Life Debt, in between chapters 18 and 19, there's another scene takes place in the same area. There's a main character. His name is Malakili, and it starts off with him walking through the desert, and he's thinking to himself. He's talking about how he was a great beastmaster for Jabba, and how everything went wrong when Luke caused all the problems at the Sarlacc pit. And so he was there at that battle. Talks about how after all the damage to the Sarlacc, the Jawas came and were actually cutting into the Sarlacc and taking things out of the Sarlacc. So taking dead bodies, taking treasures, weapons, anything they could find. So I'll come back to this, but Boba Fett fell into that Sarlacc. And fast forward, now the Jawas have the Beskar armor. So this guy, Malakili's walking near Mos Pelgo. Two Red Key Raiders come up and knock him down. They're about to kill him. And the Marshal, Cobb Vanth, comes along with Issa Orr, a Twi'lek female with mangled head tails. The two of them kill both of the Red Key Raiders. They're talking with... Lorgan is mentioned again. The Red Key leader is mentioned there in that scene again. So now these two are talking to this Beastmaster. They say, we've got 2 Rontos and a baby hut we need help with. And this guy says, yeah, I can do that. So he goes back with them to Freetown to help them out with this baby hut mostly and these 2 Rontos. And that's the end of that one. So fast forward, the third book called Empire's End. There's an interlude between chapters 13 and 14. The entire scene takes place in Freetown, aka Mos Pelgo, and some interesting things. There is a wall and a gate around Freetown, and the Red Key Raiders have the entire town hostage. This leader guy is standing in the middle of the town, and Lorgan has Cobb Vanth brought out to him. Cobb Vanth and Lorgan have a conversation. Lorgan does not recognize Cobb Vanth's armor as being Boba Fett's. He recognizes it as armor, Beskar armor, but does not recognize it as Boba Fett's, which is interesting because pretty much everyone else does. Cobb is revealed to have been a slave on Tatooine because he has an owner's mark on the back of his neck. And Lorgan says, Cobb Vanth's like, why are you here? What are you doing on Tatooine? This place sucks. And Lorgan says, well, there's a lot of reasons we're here. And one of the reasons that he lists is that Tatooine has legacy breeding stock, which is kind of a cool sentence. So 2 more Red Key Raiders, Red Key Company workers, whatever you want to call them, bring out the baby Hutt that was mentioned in the previous episode. We found out his name is Borgo. And when they bring out Borgo, the Beastmaster comes out also. The Beastmaster signals Borgo, and Borgo screams, which cues Tusken Raiders to come and save the day. So Tusken Raiders come pouring in over the walls. After Borgo screams, they come in over the walls. They come in through the gate, and they save the day. They're taking out all of the Red Key people. A lot of things are revealed. It turns out that the Tuskens have been giving Red Key a hard time over the years as well. And so this seems like maybe this was a coordinated effort that the Freetowners knew Red Key was coming, so they staged their surrender so the Tusken Raiders could come in and take out Red Key. It's also, in the meantime, revealed that the Tuskens find Mos Pelgo sacred. Freetowners have given the Tuskens water, and the Tuskens like that they have a hut, and the Beastmaster actually gave the Tuskens a pearl from a krayt dragon's belly. At that point, I got confused. I was like, wait a minute, what's the order here? But that all has to have happened before the scenes in Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian. That has to all be afterward because they get the pearl themselves. So this must be their second pearl, or more than second pearl, that they're getting from a krayt dragon in the episode. So that's all the backstory. And so fast forward to this Mandalorian episode, and so I have a couple things to add in here. So we know the Mandalorian lands in Mos Eisley. He sees Peli again with the droids, a returning character, which is awesome. Leads me to believe, another reason I don't think that he's done on Tatooine. I don't think that he's done in Mos Pelgo. Peli says that Mos Pelgo was wiped out by bandits, which is clearly not true, but maybe was about to be true if those Tuskens hadn't come in and saved the day. Mandalorian spends time with Tuskens. We are reminded that they can talk to each other. There's no gate and no wall around Mos Pelgo. I wonder where those went. I like the touch that the Weequay in the saloon serves Spotchka. That was kind of a cool little touch there. So we are revealed that the krayt dragon has been around for longer than Mos Pelgo. So I thought at one point maybe the krayt dragon is the thing that caused the walls and the gate to fall down and be gone by the time the Mandalorian gets there. But if that's true, if that's the case, then maybe the krayt dragon just never used to go to Mos Pelgo until recently, and then it's the reason that the walls and gate aren't there is because the krayt dragon come into town and taken the banthas. So then it's revealed. Once they get the news of the second Death Star being blown up, a mining collective moves in. Mos Pelgo becomes a slave camp overnight. The Marshal grabs those crystals, runs out of town, gets rescued by the Jawas, finds the armor. So if that's all true, if that's when he gets the armor right then, and he takes the armor and he's wearing it and goes back to Mos Pelgo and becomes this Marshal, why is the armor back in the Jawa's crawler for Adwin Charu to find it in that interlude from Aftermath? And if this is all true, if nothing here is like a politician's tale or something of that nature, then it must be a setup. It must be that the Marshal went back to the Jawas. He said, hey, I know this guy's going to come here. I'm gonna do a setup to send a message to Red Key. So he puts the armor in the back room. He gets the guy to find it. He shoots the guy. Now the guy knows, number one, there's a lawman, and number two, he's got Beskar armor. So maybe that was all there to set up Red Key. So then the remaining question is, okay, so why do all these Freetowners hate the Tuskens so much if the Tuskens just worked together with them to get rid of Red Key a little while earlier? And so that is explained. Cobb explains less than a year before Mando got there, the Tuskens raided Mos Pelgo. They killed 6 people. Cobb Vanth went out and killed at least 12 of them. And so maybe that's why now the the relations are bad. But then the question is, why did the Tuscans do that if they were working together previously? And my only theory is that something happened with the baby Hutt, Borgo, because he was not mentioned in this episode, chapter 9, at all. So where is that baby Hutt? What happened? Why did the Tuscans betray this trust that they had? Another interesting thing, we learned for sure that the Beskar armor can protect you from a monster, a beast's acid in their stomach, because the Mandalorian goes into the Krayt Dragon, flies out totally fine. So Boba Fett falls in the Sarlacc pit, in theory consumed, but the Jawas have his armor, and he's shown to be alive at the end of this chapter 9. So what's going on with that? Did Boba Fett crawl out of the Sarlacc pit, but he was in bad shape? The Jawas said, we'll help you, but you need to give us your armor? I mean, maybe. Maybe we'll find out. Another reason I think that we're not done with Mos Pelgo. I think that the Mandalorian's going back there. Another reason I think they're going back is this character Joe, a female human that interacts with the Marshal. So if we're getting a name, why would they put that name there? No one else's name, none of the other people. So I think he's going back. You know, that's about all I got on this one. So there's some backstory, there's some conjecture, and I do not think we are done with Mos Pelgo.